Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Lulu Essey podcast, where we build mental fitness, confidence, and self-love by following your own blueprint on your terms at your pace. And here we are. This is the final episode in our Mental Health Awareness Month series. And I'm sure you've noticed something. It's June. We have crossed over into a new month, and I did that on purpose because mental fitness does not stop just because the month changes. An awareness month is a beautiful place to begin, but it is definitely not where we end. So this conversation gets to carry on into June. It carries on into the ordinary weeks, into your real life, into the messy stuff. Because that is where mental fitness really lives. All month, I have been asking one question. What should we be talking about that we are not talking about? So far, we talked about self-advocacy, the practice of being on your own team. We talked about functional freeze, which is what happens when you are still showing up on the outside while something inside goes quiet. We talked about loneliness and what it means that so many of us are reaching for a screen for the connection we cannot seem to find each other, even without realizing it. And last week we talked about grief. The quiet type of grief for the life you thought you would have by now. And every one of those conversations has been for the person who is struggling. Today, I'd like to look in a completely different direction. Today's episode is for the person who stands next to, who supports, who loves, who holds the one who is struggling. I made you a promise last week, and I said this final episode would be for the people we do not talk enough about. The partner, the parent, the child, the friend, the colleague who notices. The ones trying to hold the pieces together while they are quietly coming apart. If that is you, I'm really glad you're here, because this episode is dedicated to you and everything you do. And I'm not speaking to you as some proclaimed expert looking down at the hard things you are doing. I am speaking to you as the person who was the one struggling. I have been the one being held, and I am still at times the one being held. And from right there inside it, I saw what it cost the people who loved me. I saw it on their faces when they thought I wasn't looking. The way they would go quiet for a second, or hold their breath, or glance away to get themselves together before turning back to me with a smile. So when I talk about the weight you are carrying, I am not guessing. I have watched people I love support me and hold me, and I know what it cost them. So let's talk about what it actually feels like to love someone and hold someone who is struggling. Because it's a particular kind of tired you get, not the kind a good night's sleep fixes. It is the tired that comes from being switched on all the time. It's the tired that comes from listening for the change in their voice, sensing the vibe in the room before you have even walked into it. It's the kind of tired of carrying a low hum of worry that never fully goes away, even on their good days, sometimes especially on the good days, because part of you is waiting for when that good day ends for the person who's struggling. And here's what makes it so lonely. You feel like you cannot fall apart because you are the strong one. You're the steady one. You're the one trying to hold it together. And if you crack, then what happens to the person struggling? So you swallow it. You put on the mask of being okay. You ask everyone else how they are doing, and nobody seems to think to ask you because you look like you're coping. You look fine. And we already know from earlier in this series how much that dangerous little word fine can hide. And slowly, without really noticing, you start to disappear. The things you used to love doing, you stop doing. The friends you used to call, now you put off calling them. Your own needs get smaller and smaller until you can barely hear them or feel them. Not because anyone made you do that, but because there is only so much of you, and the person struggling seems to need you more. And then there is the guilt. That is the part you might never have told a single soul. So I'm going to say it out loud for you. Sometimes you are frustrated. Sometimes you are angry, pissed off, over it. Sometimes you find yourself dreaming about a day where you are not responsible for that person. And then you feel sick for even thinking that. And sometimes in your most worn out moment, a thought slips through. I cannot keep doing this. And then the second that thought comes, the guilt comes crashing in. Because the person struggling didn't choose this. They didn't ask to struggle. So you think, what right do you have to be tired of it? Have you ever felt this way? Take a moment and really ask yourself. Because that guilt is the trap. Because now you are not carrying one thing, you're carrying two. You are carrying the exhaustion, the tiredness, and then you are carrying the guilt for being exhausted. You feel the frustration, and then you feel shame for feeling the frustration. It's guilt stacked upon top of guilt. And that second layer, the guilt about the guilt, that is the layer that keeps you completely silent. Because you think if being tired makes you a bad partner, a bad daughter, a bad friend, then you can never say it out loud. Not ever. So you don't say it out loud, and the silence just keeps growing, and the hole inside you keeps getting deeper. So I want to offer you a different way to hold all of that. It's not a fix. It's something truer that will create space inside you, space to care for yourself, space for you to at least accept your feelings. Being frustrated with the person struggling does not mean you do not love them. Wanting a break from them does not mean you want to leave. Feeling tired of them does not mean you are failing them. These are not opposites. They live in the same body at the same time, the same way we talked about grief and gratitude living together last week. You can love someone with everything you have and still be completely worn out by what loving them is asking of you right now. Both are true. Both of these things get to be true. So what if you looked at the guilt you carry differently? Have you ever thought about how that might shift things for you? Have you thought about how differently you might feel? Because the guilt is not evidence. that you are doing this badly. The guilt is actually evidence of how much you care, because people who do not care do not feel guilty. The fact that it weighs on you at all is proof that your heart is in a really good place. So your tiredness is not a betrayal of them. It's the cost of loving someone through something hard. And that cost is real. And you do not have to pretend it's not real. You did not stop being a whole person the moment someone you love started to struggle. You are still in there. Your needs didn't vanish. They just went underground for a while because you needed them to carry the load of looking after someone you love who's struggling. So here's what I invite you to do. And it's a small thing. It's very small. But for someone in your position, it might be the hardest small thing there is. Tell one true thing to one person you feel safe with. And this is not the person you're caring for. Tell someone else, a friend, a sibling, a therapist. Tell a person you trust, a person you're comfortable with, someone who you know really sees you. And say one honest sentence to that person. Say the thing out loud that is hard for you, even when you think it. Does not have to be a speech. It can be a few words. It can be something like, "This is bloody hard and I am exhausted." That's the practice for now. That is enough to start. Because here is what I learned from the other side of all of this. The people who carried me did not need to get better at carrying me. They needed somewhere to set the weight down, even for a few minutes. They needed to be able to look after themselves while they were looking after me. They needed to be heard. They needed to be seen for how hard it was for them. And so often they got none of those things because they thought their job was to be strong for me. They thought saying their fears and their stress out loud would somehow be a betrayal of me. It wouldn't have been. It would have been something given back to them. So this is me telling you from the place I once stood in. Saying the true thing to someone you trust is not disloyal. It's not weak. It's not you giving up on the person you love. It's you letting yourself be held for once. And you deserve to be held. And if all you can manage is one sentence to one person, that's enough. There's no minimum here because you are not performing strength for anyone. You're letting a little piece of the weight be shared, and you're giving yourself some internal space. So this is where our whole series lands. Because if I bring all 5 of our conversations together, they are really about one thing. And that is turning toward what is real in ourselves and in each other, with a little more tenderness than we normally allow ourselves. Whether you are the one struggling, or the one standing right next to someone who is struggling, you are worthy of that same gentleness, that same care, that same self-love we have been building all month long. It was never only for the person in crisis. It was always for you too, and it is for you too. Before we close, if someone has carried you through a hard time, a difficult time in your life, and they have come into your mind while you have been listening, send this episode to them. Text this episode to them. Let it be your way of saying, I saw what it cost you, and I'm not sure I ever thanked you properly. And if you are the one who has been doing the carrying, and this is the first time in a long while that someone has spoken directly to you and not straight past you, then let today be the day you stop being invisible. You are seen. I see you. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. And today, to every single person who loves someone through something hard, who shows up quietly again and again with no applause, no thank you, this comes straight from my heart to yours. You can find this episode on my YouTube channel, and please follow and subscribe the show while you're there. It really does help. Until next week, thank you.